Hey friends, it's Just the Gems, and I'm furious. I don't know about you, but a lot of the stuff that's been coming out about the Nintendo Switch 2 as it pertains to physical media and the collecting space has just been making me increasingly mad. Normally, I'm pretty even-keeled about stuff like this, but I just can't wrap my head around the decisions that are being made here. And I want to talk about that. Specifically, I want to get into, is the Switch 2 even going to be worth it for JRPG collectors? Should we waste our time and money on this thing? Now, a little bit of background on me in case you're coming to this channel because you saw somebody might be being mean about the Switch 2. I have been a Nintendo fan since the earliest days here in the US. My first console was an NES. I know some people say it NES and other people say it wrong, but since the NES, the SNES, N64, GameCube, basically every single Nintendo console and handheld I have owned and I have enjoyed. So I'm not coming at this from like the PlayStation fanboy or whatever perspective. I'm coming at this as a lifelong Nintendo fan that is sick and tired of having to fight Nintendo to continue to be a fan. I feel like there have been so many times over the course of history that being a Nintendo fan has been harder than it needs to be, right? It doesn't need to be this hard. Here's the thing. Despite being a Nintendo fan for basically my entire life, right? 37 years I've been a Nintendo fan. Despite that, I don't owe Nintendo fealty, right? Like I don't owe them my subservience or my support. If they, as a business, do something that is contrary to my interests, contrary to my desires even, I don't have to support them. And I'm feeling more and more like I can't. And I want to talk about specifics as to why. From the collector's perspective, the game key card fiasco is just a disaster. It's absolutely ridiculous. There is no need for this to exist on this earth. In case by some chance you're not up to speed on this, let me just summarize it. Essentially, Nintendo is only offering two options for publishers of games on the Switch 2. They're offering a 64 gigabyte card, right? A 64 gig card that you can put your game on that costs $15, $16, $17 just to buy for the publisher, right? So almost a quarter of whatever revenue they'd be making is going to Nintendo to purchase the physical card. Or you can purchase a game key card, which presumably is significantly cheaper and does not contain the game at all. I don't know what the storage is on a game key card, but I'm guessing in the kilobytes, or maybe in the megabytes, but it's basically just a code. You put the card in the slot and it connects to the internet and it downloads the game to your console, not to the card, to your console, and then you play the game digitally. Only you don't have any of the conveniences, right, of having a digital game because you do need to have that game key card in the system whenever you want to play it. So you are essentially getting all of the downsides of physical media and none of the upsides of digital media. It's a bad deal all around. The only groups that it's a good deal for are the publishers. And even then, I don't think most of them are super jazzed about it, but the difference in cost for them is just too much to ignore. So as a collector, game key cards are fully against my interests. They are not aligned with how I would like video games to progress. And yes, I fully understand that Microsoft fired the first shots. They have been moving towards an all-digital platform for years. Here's the thing, though. This is going to be hard for some people to hear, and I understand that. I'm not trying to be mean. But from the JRPG perspective, Microsoft might as well not be a player. They might as well not exist in a lot of ways, right? They did some good things in the Xbox 360 generation. They gave us a handful of legitimately classic JRPGs, some of which you can still only play on Xbox platforms, which is its own problem. But by and large, they have not mattered in the JRPG space, right? All of the high-profile JRPGs are on PlayStation, or they're on Switch, or they're on both. If the Xbox receives a port of a JRPG, great, but it's never really Xbox first. Now they're pouring more money into this. They're financing games like Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. They're working with Atlas to promote games there. Great, that's good, and I think that's a step in the right direction. Or I would say that if they weren't, simultaneously in parallel trying to eliminate physical media from existence. Everything's an Xbox, right? Like, my computer's an Xbox, my toaster's an Xbox. They just want you to play the games. They don't care so much about the physicality of anything, whatever. Okay, so Microsoft, yes, has been doing this. Microsoft published games on PlayStation look to be doing this as well. We heard about Doom, the new Doom game that is on a Blu-ray, which conceivably could hold up to 100 gigabytes, meaning that it could very easily hold the entire game, is only going to have like a download key, similar to the game key card. That's Bethesda, which is Microsoft. They're doing this. Indiana Jones, similar sort of thing. Not all the game data is on the disc. So Microsoft is leading the charge. But again, from the JRPG perspective, which is what I'm talking about, that's who I am, they don't matter. Nintendo doing this matters. It matters significantly. On my podcast that I do with some friends of mine, the JRPG Pursuit, check out the link in the description if you want to see that. But on a recent episode of the JRPG Pursuit, we were talking about this subject. And I think I mentioned that, like, if video game collecting is a human body, Microsoft introduced a slow-acting poison into the bloodstream of that body several years ago. Nintendo came along and shot that person in the gut, right? So, like, yeah, they both are bad. They both were going to eventually kill collecting, but Nintendo's was worse, right? Nintendo is just a bigger presence, particularly in the area that I'm interested in. So the things that Nintendo is doing upset me more. And that's just the way it is. It just upsets me more because it affects me more. And if you're a JRPG collector, you kind of have to admit that it affects you more too. Even if you like the Xbox, and I know some people that are big JRPG fans that play on Xbox and they enjoy their Xbox, that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But the facts remain that Nintendo is a bigger player in making these changes to specifically the JRPG scene than Microsoft has been. So if the Switch 2 is largely going to be a digital console, the question that I then have to ask myself as a JRPG collector is, what benefit does the Switch 2 have over, say, the PlayStation 5 and the Portal? Like, I have a PlayStation Portal, I have a PlayStation 5. If I really want to play something handheld, which is one of the primary things that the Switch and the Switch 2 offer, then I will probably just get the game physically on PlayStation 5 and play it on my Portal. Now, playing games remotely isn't that important to me. I do enjoy it sometimes, but it's not like make or break for me. So it's kind of a hypothetical, but there's some real life practicality of it as well. So I want to mention it, but there's no benefit really of buying the game on the Switch 2 if I don't actually own the physical game, if I have a game key that has no data on it. And if I don't care about having the physical game, if that's not important to me, why wouldn't I just get it on Steam and play it on my Steam Deck, right? Like, there are so many other options now. There's other even handheld PCs that you can get in order to be able to play digital games remotely, right? So the value proposition of the Switch 2 is even less, even in comparison to other digital-only platforms. Like, maybe it'll be the best, maybe it'll be the most fun to use, and it'll have great exclusives, sure. But at the end of the day, it's coming into a crowded field that it helped create, right? Like, the Steam Deck probably wouldn't exist without the Switch. So they kind of helped create this environment where there's all these competitors now. And so I don't need the Switch 2 if I want the very things that the Switch 2 is promising it will deliver. I can get it in things that I already have. And this is really hard for me. Like, I don't want you to mistake me as being somebody that was never going to get a Switch 2 to begin with. Like, I was excited. I was hyped about the Switch 2. I have always been an early adopter. I have kind of prided myself on being an early adopter. I love having the latest tech, the latest consoles. I'm always there day one for basically every console release. I enjoy it. I just get so much excitement out of it. Even when there's not a ton of brand new games that I'm excited to play, like with the PlayStation 5, right? There weren't a ton of games in my wheelhouse that were launching alongside the PlayStation 5, but I still got it day one because I like that. I have fun with that. It's enjoyable for me. But Nintendo has just sucked the enjoyment out of this process for me to the point where I don't know when I will get one. I know I will. And then let me take a break from the ranting to talk about why I will get the Switch 2 eventually. I will get the Switch 2 eventually because there are Nintendo first-party games that are very much in my wheelhouse that I will want to play. I am kind of interested in Mario Kart World, but I also know that that's a game that I will play for 3 days and then probably never again. Chances are, yeah, probably never again. So I want to moderate myself a little bit there because it's an $80 game that I'm going to play for 3 days. I know me. That's the way I've been with every Mario Kart game. But aside from, the staples like a new 3D Mario or a new Zelda game, which hopefully I like and isn't like Tears of the Kingdom, which I honestly wasn't crazy about. Hoping it's more of a traditional Zelda game. That would be great. I would love to see a new Zelda game, and regardless, I'll pick it up. I've been a Zelda fan again since I was a very young child. Also, Fire Emblem. I've started getting into the Fire Emblem series and the Xeno series. That's a Monolith Soft / Nintendo production now. I've been a Xeno fan since the PlayStation. So naturally, yeah, I'm going to pick up a Switch 2 and I'm going to grab whatever Monolith Soft comes out with. That's a given for me, right? There are potentially other exclusives that might come. Third parties are kind of moving away from exclusives on consoles. Square Enix famously recently was like, we need to knock that off, guys, because we're just not making as much money as we could be / should be. So I don't know how often that's going to happen, but if there's an exclusive on the Switch 2 that I can't get anywhere else, then yeah, I'll buy it on the Switch 2. Even if it's digital only, I'll still get it on the Switch 2. But if it's available on Steam, I'll probably just get it on Steam, right? Like, that's a library that goes with me everywhere. I don't have to have a Nintendo Switch 2 device to access that. I have multiple devices already that can access my Switch or my Steam library. So what would I need a Switch 2 for that for? So yes, there are games that I will definitely want to have a Switch 2 to play, and I will at some point. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care if the price of the Switch 2 goes up due to tariffs, and when I'm ready to buy it, I'm gonna have to pay more. That's fine. Whatever. I don't care. Like, if I really want the system and I can afford it, I will buy it. Like, it's, would I rather get it for less? Sure, if I had the choice, but I'm not going to buy it under the assumption that it's going to be more expensive, and I will want it at a point when it's more expensive, right? Like, I'm gonna spend that money on other things right now that I actually am excited about and that aren't infuriating me. Also, I want to throw in, the Nintendo Switch Online service. They're going to be adding GameCube games. There's probably 1 or 2 GameCube games. The Fire Emblem Path of Radiance game, I think, is on there or going to be on there in the near future. So having a way to play that game that doesn't cost $200 would be nice as a kind of newly minted Fire Emblem fan. So I think that there's some value in that. And then, of course, the entire NSO library. It's cool to have access to those games. From a collector's perspective, is it meaningful? No. But, it's nice to have access to those games, easy access. So, I don't know. Trying to summarize. What is there to be excited about for a JRPG collector with the Switch 2? Is there anything? Yes. New games from Monolith Soft. They've made some absolute all-timers on the Switch. I can only imagine that will continue and escalate because they are just an incredible team, and the things they do with technology is just magical, and I love it. So yes, Monolith Soft, reason to be excited. Fire Emblem, absolutely. I'm sure there will be a new Pokemon game that all the Pokemon fans will be very disappointed by. So that's exciting? ? I don't know. I don't know. I don't play Pokemon, so I can't say, but I just know that everybody hates all the modern Pokemon games, and I don't know why they keep buying them. So for now, I think I'm going to stick with the PlayStation 5 and the PC, and honestly, even the Switch 1. Like the new AI, the Somnium Files game, No Sleep for Kaname Date, that is a game key card for the Switch 2 version. The Switch 1 version has the game on the cart. Why wouldn't I just get the Switch 1 version? As much as I'd like to enjoy it on the new hardware, I'm not gonna pay the same amount or more for a download key. I'm just not gonna do it. So I'll buy the Switch 1 version. Maybe they'll have updates, enhancements, playing it on the Switch 2 someday. By that point, I probably won't need to. I'll probably have already played it, but it's nice to have, I guess. I realize this video has been very negative, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are stalwart Nintendo fans, and they are riding to the rescue now to leave angry comments about whatever, like I'm not a Nintendo fan or I'm a Sony shill or what. That's fine, I guess. Like, I've already kind of laid out my history, and I've been a Nintendo fan for longer than a lot of the people that are going to be commenting have been alive, I would imagine. So I'm comfortable with my level of fandom, and I'm also increasingly comfortable as I get older with saying I don't owe Nintendo anything. I don't owe them my fealty or support. They owe me products that I want to buy. Well, no, I guess they don't owe me that, right? Nintendo could decide they want to switch back to just making playing cards and get out of this whole video game thing, and they can cut ties entirely, and that's up to them. But if they want me to be a purchaser of their products, they need to make products that I'm interested in. And with the Switch 2, they are showing that they are less willing to do that than I think they've ever been at any point in history. Even the Wii U, right? I was a Wii U owner. So, I've been in it through thick and thin. And I think this might just be the last straw for me. Like I said, doesn't mean that I'm not going to get a Switch 2. I will get one eventually because of the handful of first-party games that I'm going to need a Switch 2 to enjoy. And that works for me. That's fine. That's the way it's been with several Nintendo consoles, honestly, right? Like, you can't really make the argument that the N64 was a third-party powerhouse, right? It was the home of Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, right? Like, the Nintendo games were kind of king there. And to an extent, the GameCube, the Wii U, right? So it's not unprecedented that someone buys a Nintendo console just for the games that they're interested in from Nintendo themselves. So I will get one eventually. What do you think? If you haven't already left a comment, drop a comment down below and let me know. If you do agree with what I'm saying, I'd love to hear why. I'd also love it if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. We talk about JRPGs and the playing of them and the enjoying of them on this channel all the time. That's kind of what we do. So would love it if you would subscribe. We're inching our way towards 15,000, which is a crazy number that doesn't make any sense to me, but that's happening, I guess. So hopefully. So I would love to get there soon just so that I can tweet about it or something. Yeah, follow me on Twitter as well at @_justthegems. Would love to hang out with you there. Anyway, I'm rambling. I should wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.